What is up, everyone? Happy late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, depending on where you live. I'm here for a very quick update on the Big Brother 27 live feeds to give some more opinions for the day as we crowned a veto winner. It was not the front runner Rachel, who probably should have won this veto. It was actually Lauren, who I must give credit to. I didn't think was studying days, but she did better than everyone else in today's veto. You know, she is a self-proclaimed super fan, although she's never watched the feeds, but she is a self-proclaimed super fan. And good for her. I feel like we're about to enter a Lauren era of winning some competitions. I don't actually think that's necessarily great for her long run, because I think this could be what actually puts a target on her back from the game she's always trying to play of falling through the cracks, which of course she's very good at because the woman can barely talk. And that's the unfortunate part of her winning the veto. We have to go the rest of the weekend trying to watch Lauren form words in her mouth. She's fine talking to Vince and Kat, but if she's talking to anyone else, it's just still so awkward. And it's why as much as I can see Lauren going far in the game because she's just not seen as this threat, I have such a hard time seeing Lauren getting a winning vote. When it comes down to her answering questions and talking about how she should win in a finale on this show, which is usually rushed, I don't know how she's going to form enough words to talk about how she's supposed to win the game. So I do have a hard time seeing her winning the game. And now this weekend, her gut's telling her she shouldn't use the veto. I do feel like she is still afraid of Rachel, despite her going around saying Rachel should go home soon, if not next, which we're going to get into here. But of course, Vince is going to subtly try and get Lauren to use the veto on him. And if they are supposed to be each other's number ones, and of course they both have multiple number ones. I mean, Vince has so many final twos in the house, and Lauren has a couple herself. But if they're supposed to be so close in the game, and they are, Vince is the closest person to Lauren in this game. You would think then that she would use the veto on him. However, in talks with Kat and others in the house, Lauren could probably deduce that Vince probably has the votes to stay this week. And as it stands right now, he should have the votes to stay. So it could be an easy decision for Lauren, although, as she said multiple times tonight already, one of the only sentences she could form in her mouth multiple times is saying, "I don't know what to do with the veto." So she's going to contemplate this all week long, well, all weekend long. But if Vince has the votes to stay, it should be an easy decision for Lauren to keep nominations the same. That's always dangerous, though, keeping someone on the block. Things can change quickly in this game. I don't see them changing as it is right now. Obviously, Keanu and Kelly can be wild cards, but Keanu's head remains so far up Vince's ass that they probably have the votes to keep Vince over either Mickey or Morgan. Kelly and Mickey are beefing right now because Mickey just can't help herself from being ridiculous and upset with someone. That alone seals Mickey's fate on the block if she's left on the block later this week. Maybe Morgan could somehow work Kelly. Maybe. I have a hard time seeing that happen, but maybe. So I understand if Lauren decides to keep nominations the same, but Vince is going to subtly push to get off the block, as he should. I mean, Vince lied today to Lauren, saying that Keanu told him that Lauren would have been the renom this week. So of course Lauren's going to feel some kind of way about that, and this leads to Lauren, Vince, Kat talking about how Rachel needs to go next week. Vince is trying to convince Lauren that maybe Ashley would be the renom as a pawn this week. Rachel has told Keanu that she would not put up Ashley, Will, Ava as a renom, despite Ashley's messy gameplay so far this week. She's still playing messy. Tonight in a conversation up in the HOH, it's Rachel, Ashley, Keanu. And Ashley and Keanu are just lying to each other. Although Keanu was doing way more lying than Ashley was. Ashley, per usual, was keeping it real, but she did lie about the fact that if Mickey stays, she wouldn't come for Keanu. That's a lie. But Keanu was lying about everything. That he's okay if Vince goes this week, and he's not close to Callie, and yeah, he was doing a lot of lying in that conversation to Ashley with Rachel in the room with them. I don't know. I don't know who Rachel would put up this week if Lauren uses the veto and takes down Vince, which is actually all the more reason why Vince and Lauren should make that move. If these players this season were not a bunch of pussies, they would indeed make that move regardless. But Lauren is definitely the scared type, and she's going to have a hard time making that move, but maybe Vince can make her do it, because Rachel has told Keanu she doesn't really actually have a plan for who her backup nominee would be, because she's running out of people, and if she can't put up Lauren, so she would have to put up a possible Callie if she doesn't want to put up Will, Ava, or Ashley, as she shouldn't. Then she would have to put up Callie or the Showmans, and we know Rachel's just so gung-ho about this Showmans, because everyone in the house has to have a blind spot with this Showmans, apparently. So I think that would actually be a really good move for Lauren to use the veto on Vince, because it forces Rachel's hand. And if they're already talking about taking Rachel out soon again, which they all are, it would be a tough week for Rachel as HOH. And honestly, I'm starting to feel more and more how I felt in my first video yesterday. That these were not the best nominations Rachel could have made. While I agree with some people in the comments, I believe it's Sapphire in the comments talking about how Rachel had to put up Mickey, Morgan, and Vince because if one of them was off the block in one veto, they could have taken the other down. And yes, that's true. But Rachel so far today and yesterday has been able to talk to Mickey and Morgan and mend fences. It's harder to mend fences with Mickey, and I'm about to rant about Mickey here in a second, per usual. But she's mended fences very well with Morgan. And I still feel the same way I felt yesterday, that Rachel started the fight with Morgan. Yes, Morgan was being the idiot, talking about jury and taking Rachel to jury, and Rachel's going to be in jury. But Rachel lost her cool in that conversation and thus started the fight. That's just a fact. It's a literal fact. I don't care how dumb Morgan was being. Rachel started that fight. And perhaps Ashley was right that faking the funk with these players was better for them in the long run, because Ashley's usually right in this game. And if she could have gotten through to Rachel more, if Rachel wasn't playing this HOH so close to her vest, then maybe Rachel could have had some better game conversations than she did at the beginning of her HOH right now. Because right now, as the way the week is going, as I called from the beginning of the week, Vince still has so many damn numbers in this game. And Rachel is about to lose a potential number. Now, if that person is Mickey, if Mickey is the person that goes, it's not the biggest loss for Rachel. It's really not. But the way the week is going, with Rachel and Morgan being able to mend fences, with Morgan being the cooler head of the Morgan and Mickey duo, I do think if Mickey somehow wins Blockbuster and it's Morgan and Vince on the block and Morgan goes home, I don't know. Because Morgan is very close to Vince. It's true. But I guess Rachel's between a rock and a hard place. But this week isn't really helping that. This week is not helping that with all these people that Vince has in his back pocket. And the showmance is the biggest problem. And I'm going to say this all damn week. I don't care. The fact that this cast is having the showmance continue to be in the power position in the game when there's such this gross showmance, but this cast loves Riley so much. The dynamics between the house and the showmance, it doesn't make any logical sense. And I can't find the logic in it. So I still do think that perhaps Rachel should have faked the funk with Mickey and Morgan this week. Mickey changes her mind multiple times a day. I've been talking about this for 2 weeks now. Any different conversation Mickey might have, she's going to be mad at somebody else. Rachel could have had a conversation with Mickey and pointed her laser focus elsewhere this week. It was possible. And Rachel, who's been trying to play this passive game to make herself have a good social game, is the way she's been playing the entire season. I talked about this just a few days ago. Rachel's been being too passive. So to go from too passive to this huge move that isn't really that huge, because now Vince, Lauren, the showman, keeps getting closer. I just think there is just this big blind spot for the showmans, and Rachel has one of the biggest blind spots for the showmans. Although I still do hope that maybe she would consider Riley as a renom in her back pocket if the veto is used. That would change my mind about Rachel's thought processes, but that seems to be a long shot. Anyway, at the end of the day, this is all Mickey's fault. She protected the showmans on her secret HOH. It was stupid and nonsensical when it happened because she was stealing Riley's HOH in the first place. And now somehow it looks even more nonsensical because Kat is the one leading the charge that Mickey should go this week. And I'm glad it's happening because Mickey was such a dumbass for not nominating Kat as a renom. Although, as I said when she first got secret HOH, Kat should have been one of the initial noms. Kelly should have never been a nominee for Mickey that week. It should have been Riley and Kat on the block against Keanu. But somehow Mickey and Morgan thought Jimmy was the move that week. Just so damn dumb. So I'm glad Mickey is reaping what she sowed. It is what she deserves. It is. And so was her losing, her, Morgan, Vince, all losing the veto today after they prayed about it. Mickey's just still batting zero when it comes to her prayers and these damn vetoes. I'm happy to see. I'm happy to see that God is also like enjoying Mickey reaping what she sowed. Because if God cares about these prayers in a Big Brother game, like some people in the comments have said in my little short I posted a few weeks ago, talking shit about Mickey's prayers, if he cares so much, well, he clearly cares about doing the opposite of what Mickey's praying for. Anyway, the week is still annoying to me because Rachel is not coming out of this week in a great spot. I still appreciate her working on these relationships as HOH. As I said in my video today, her sleeping downstairs and not in the HOH room, very, very smart. It's a very, very smart social decision. But her blind spot for the showmance is similar to Mickey's blind spot. It is. Mickey not going after the showmance in her HOH is costing her now. And right now, if Vince, Lauren, and Kat have their way, and Riley's going to come with Kat, then I don't know, that's a pretty fearsome foursome. And now Rachel has burned some bridges with Morgan, and yes, they're working it out right now, but because Rachel's the one that put Morgan up, Vince is still going to be the one easily able to influence Morgan going forward. Vince just has all these numbers. And as much as I don't see him as a mastermind, because he's not a mastermind, despite what Rachel might think, despite what the producers will try to do in some of the episodes, I think Vince is just better he had the advantage of being the first HOH on a season full of dumbassery. And so he was able to have these relationships right off the bat as the first HOH. Now we're midway through the season and Riley is in the best spot. And it's Mickey's fault. She got that ball rolling on this. But somebody in the comments, I think it was Sci-Fi again, was talking about how my opinion on if Rachel nominated Lauren, Riley, and Kat this week, which I don't think she would have ever done because she has the blind spot for the showmans. But while I was thinking about that, I was thinking about like who would Riley actually go home against right now, and it's literally nobody. That's where we are right now. Like Riley truly is in a spot to go the farthest. And I'm not saying he would necessarily win in a final two, but the way everyone acts about Riley and thinks Riley is good with them, he's going so far in this game right now until people see the showmans as the threat that they are. And nobody listens to Ashley, so I don't know what else they can do unless they really start to think smart, like the smartest person in the house. And yes, Ashley's playing kind of messy this week, but she still has the best reads. She does. The only way I see Riley going is if he and Kat are on the block and he sacrifices himself. But that still only works if the cast listens. They might not listen. They still might vote Kat out over him if they end up on the block together, even if Riley is trying to sacrifice himself. That is how dumb this cast has been all together. See y'all tomorrow.